Is my microphone on? Can y'all hear me? All right. How y'all doing? Yeah? Good. Okay. So, listen. I am not, they asked me up here, they said, if the slides go out, are you going to panic? I said, I'm not much of a panicker. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to talk the way I talk. Right? I'm going to be all over this stage. And I'm just going to relax because that's what I do. And if I mess up and if I say, oh, where am I at or what was I saying, forgive me in advance, but that's just the way my brain works, okay? So, the super effective writing process of Grammy-winning artists. Did I have enough hyphens in that title for y'all? Okay. You might tell from my accent that I'm not, I live in New York, but I'm not from New York, okay? Now, it never fails. I come to Europe, and someone always asks me, they hear my accent, they can tell it's not a typical American accent. They get excited. Are you a cowboy or a cowgirl? Well, I'm not, but lucky for you, my daddy is, right? He's not really a cowboy. That's not a picture of my dad, but he does wear boots with shorts, okay? He lives in Texas. Okay, so little cowgirl gets on the horse and rides up to New York City, right? I didn't really take a horse, but it was a pickup truck. All right, so I'm in my pickup truck, go to New York City. I get an internship in a recording studio, a major recording studio, right? And my job as an intern was really important in that recording studio, okay? There were two tools that were essential to my job. And you have to know these two tools like you know the back of your hand. Okay? Sweeping, right? You have got to be grade A sweeper. The second tool, and probably the most important tool, okay? You have got to be a champion at running and getting coffee, okay? So, my boss comes to me one day and he goes, Kayla, yeah? Listen, the assistant engineer for today is sick, so I'm going to need you to fill in. Now, this is a week into my sweeping, okay? I'm a week into this internship, and I have got to assistant engineer. Now, what that means is I'm going to, hang on, my clicker's not working. There we go. I'm going to plug in all the instruments and set up all the microphones. And I'm going to manage that mess of a thing, right? That's called a patch bay, right? That puts all the microphones and all the instruments into the special board, right? That thing with all the scary knobs. And so okay. And then and also as an assistant engineer, your most important job, also the coffee, okay? Except you're allowed to go into the room, and you sit there in the room in case anybody needs anything. Okay, so I'm sweeping. He goes, okay, Kayla, so we need you to fill in on this session. He's all nonchalant. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, naturally, my next question was like, who's the artist? And he goes, J. Cole. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Now, J. Cole is a very famous rapper in the United States. So I was really nervous. So, okay, I had a J. Cole session, and then I had a Carole King session. And then I had a Busta Rhymes session, and then I had a Jessie J session, and then I had a Chris Daughtry session, and then I had a Kelly Rowland session. Y'all, Kelly Rowland is in Destiny's Child. I was one step away from Beyonce. Okay? So, there's all these artists, but the artists aren't the only one in the room, right? When an artist goes into a studio room, they are there with writers and engineers and other recording professionals, right? Musicians who might be there to lay a guitar track or something. So it's a really collaborative process, right? And that's a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is that collaboration and how they are so successful in their collaboration. If you've ever noticed when an artist goes up on stage, right? When Lady Gaga goes up on stage, she accepts a Grammy Award. Or when Kelly Rowland goes up on stage, accepts a Grammy Award. She's not alone. They're not alone. There are producers, there are writers that win along with them, right? So what's the process? What is this super effective thing that you're going to tell us about today, right? So the first thing that will strike you when you watch musicians work is there is a huge difference in routine and ritual, right? Now, there's all this, routine is such a buzzword right now, right? How many of you read articles and blogs about writing routine and being efficient and being productive, right? Routine is like this huge thing with this new productivity craze that we're in. But there's a difference, and it's really important. So routine is more like schedule, right? Routine is like, I wake up at 5 a.m., I eat breakfast at 7 a.m., I go to work at 9 a.m., right? It's circadian, it's metabolic, right? It's your heartbeat and when you feel your energetic peaks throughout the day, right? Oh, it's boring, okay? It's a schedule. But ritual. Now the ritual is what's interesting. The rituals appeal to our sensations, right? Rituals inspire us, right? Sensation and inspiration. The best way I know to explain the difference, the best analogy I could think of, even though this talk is not religious whatsoever, and in fact my tour guide yesterday told me that Prague is 80% atheist, so no religious affiliation with this talk. But church, okay? The routine of church, or you go on Saturday or Sunday or whatever at 11 a.m., right? That's routine. But when the dude walks down the aisle with the smoky thing, that's ritual. And the organ's cut on. And then there's the guy with the smoke and the singing and all of this. And that is when you get the feels, right? So, hang on, I gotta look at my next slide. Oh, yeah, haha. So you're saying to yourself, all right, well, we're not gonna walk around the office with a smoky thing, right? You're not gonna do that. But we have smoke of our own. Right? So, rituals inspire us. So we should add them to our routine, right? To feel more creative. And Grammy-winning artists are pros at this. They know exactly what they need to do, right? So here are some examples of what I saw almost in every recording session that I was involved in. They create their own inspiration. Now, mind you, like I said, there's a lot of people in the room. It's not just the artist. And most of the time, people in recording studios are walking into a room of people they've never met in their lives. And here they are expected to do this really intimate thing of writing a song, right? They're gonna write a song. Okay, so some of the things they do, and usually the first thing they do, is they get familiar with each other, and their favorite way to do this is to share a meal. Now they usually come to the studio around 2 or 3 o'clock, unless you're in Nashville and you're making country music, right? And then that's 9 to 5, okay? 9 to 5, y'all, 9 to 5. That's how we like it down south. But New Yorkers and in LA, they tend to go to the studio in the afternoon, so they have a late lunch or brunch, okay? And then they have other recreational things, such as mimosas, or what's legal in certain states in the United States, okay? And that helps just, everybody just wants to feel friendly. They need to feel comfortable if they're going to create a song. And then the last thing they do, and one of the most important things they do, is they listen to music. We can find inspiration from people who have done the things that we do, but they did them really well, right? So they listen to music. Now, if they want to write, like they come in and they say, oh yeah, today, y'all, we need to write like an 80s anthem. So what do? They listen to Sting or Madonna, okay? And they listen for hours. They just blast the music and just sit there and just vibe together. All right, let me look at my next slide. Okay, so ritual what can we do if we're normal folk? You know what I mean? What if we do if we're not going to sit in a recording studio and make our art? Well, it's really the same. So some of the things that I've done with writing teams that I've been on, it's really helped. We share a meal. Obviously, you can go to lunch. You can familiarize yourself with people. We also did writing prompts. So even though I once did writing prompts with the entire marketing team, because we were trying to get the technical writers involved in some of the marketing stuff. So we did fun writing prompts. And we just did write a 5-minute screenplay or something, based on some silly prompt. And it kind of just helps ease the ease the tension. And then obviously you can partake in recreational things such as caffeine or beer. I heard yesterday also my tour guide told me that Czechs drink more beer than any other country in the world. Awesome, right on. And then listening to music is just read good work, look at good code, look at good design, right? Well, I don't know what rituals to add to my routine. Well, here's the easiest way to do it, and this is what I did. And myself and 2 other writers last year wrote over 2 million words. Everybody in the audience, I said 2 million words, and y'all are all thinking, do not tell us how to do this. Here she goes. My manager is in this room. Okay, look, make a list of 10 things you love, and they need to be simple things, okay? And then do a few of them every day. Here's some of my things. I really like hot chocolate, okay? I really like walking in the park. I like short stories, and I like listening to opera and hip-hop. I know that is a weird combination, but I like it. And you know what? These are simple. A hot chocolate costs like $4 or whatever. I mean, if I'm at a really bougie place, maybe like $5. But like simple things you can do to just increase the amount of positivity that you experience in a day, right? That increases our inspiration, right? And you need to make sure that they're different, right? You can't do the same things every day because then it just becomes a routine, okay? Inspiration requires novel experience, right? New things. All right. So let me get into the process and what goes down in the studio, okay? The best way for me to explain this to you is just to point it out to you on the screen. Okay, good, it's working right now. This is the only slide I needed to work, so we're good. All right. Okay, so if you look at the first person I want to talk about is the engineer. Now the engineer sits at that computer. See the monitor? Okay, that's the engineer. And my slide's not working. There we go. Yeah, the engineer is responsible for the buttons. Okay, they are in charge of all those buttons and editing. So they're like the editor, right? Is they adjust the, mine went out. Did y'all's go out? There, it's back. Okay, we're good. Okay, so buttons, editing. So they're like the editor. And then there's a producer, and the producer usually sits at that big board. You see those 2 pieces of paper? Those probably belong to the producer or to the engineer. They usually sit at the board, and then if they're not at the board, they're usually on a nice big puffy couch, which would be somewhere over like there behind that computer. Okay? So they manage the process. They're like the head of content or like the chief editor, chief designer, right? The writers, they write. Now, where do you think the writers are? They are on the couch. Okay. And artists are obviously the voice and the instrument, but really in music, the artist is the brand, right? Because a song might exist before an artist is ever put on it, right? A song might exist and might be pitched to Bruno Mars, and the same song might be pitched to, Beyonce, and one will choose it and the other won't. Those are way different brands, okay? So the artist is the brand. All right. So how does this process work? Well, the first thing is it's obviously really collaborative. It's not siloed whatsoever. So like when the artists and the engineers and the producers and the writers and the musicians are all in the room, anybody can contribute to the process, right? Like if there's somebody the engineer sometimes has amazing suggestions for lyrics, or the producer might say, no, I don't like that melody. Let's change it to this, even though the writer had originally written that melody. So it's very collaborative. Anybody can contribute to any piece of it, and that ends up being why songs are so great. All right. The next thing is it's incremental, right? Nobody ever climbed a mountain in a day, okay? Or you can, but they're kind of tiny mountains. Okay, so small steps, and with music, what they usually do is they'll concentrate on one thing. It's like, let's get the first verse written and recorded. Let's do it right. Let's make the first verse amazing. It's like, all right. Or let's make the hook amazing. The hook is the chorus. So they'll focus on one part, and they'll make it great, or as good as it can be, right? And then because it's collaborative and because it's incremental, It's timely. It's quick. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got these steps picked out. They know that the first thing we need to do is write the hook, and then it goes to the engineer, and he needs to make it sound pretty. And then the next thing we do is we add the guitar track. They know exactly how to do this. It's boom, boom, boom. It's timely. Quick start to finish. Now, timely does not mean, in 2 hours we've got a song. Timely means okay, in 2 weeks, we're good, right? All right, let me see my next slide. Okay. This is really important. Let the bad song out, and a good one will follow. And I always heard things like, Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. And I'm like, yeah, but it takes 2 seconds to shoot a basketball. And it doesn't make me, if I write this whole book, okay, and then the book isn't great, or the book isn't well received, or the book doesn't achieve the goals that we set out for it to achieve, that's different than missing a shot. Because it took me a year. And that shot was boom. Okay, so I like this quote because this is just a better quote for people like us, for creators like us, right? We spend a lot of time on our creations, we spend a lot of time on our creations, right? So let the bad song out, and a good one will follow. All right, now I'm going to talk about this. The process in action. All right. So, last year, I wanted to be more collaborative. I was working as content manager, and the event manager came to me and she said, hey, you know what? I really need to make more money at these events. And I said, okay, girl. I don't know what you want me to do about it. And she said, well, let's just get our friend, the product marketer, and let's think about it. And we sat down and we thought, and then we came up with this piece of content, right, that we were going to give out at events. And it was actually going to, what it did was it encouraged people to make appointments and sit down and talk to our sales reps at these events. And it was a pretty technical piece of content, right, because the people that had to sit down with the sales reps were engineers. So, collaboration, right? This was technical content for events, which before then I had never done, besides a brochure. And this was not a brochure. This was more like a consultative thing that we gave out, and they were really tailored to each prospect. So, anyways, so we worked on this piece of content, and then it was incremental. We were like, all right, if we're going to do this right, we got to know that starting now, we have 6 weeks until this event. So it's got to be boom, 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 week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we figured out all right, who's doing this? It's me, you, and you. Okay. Whose help do we need? We need the sales manager's help, right? We need help from sales management. We need help from probably the marketing team. So we need designers. And then, so we knew who and we knew how. We were like, what we're going to do is we're going to send out this really awesome invite via email to our newsletter people or whatever. And then it's going to be this really consultative sort of checklist thing. We wrote it, we sent it out. It was timely. It actually took us 2 weeks to build the campaign, so we had 4 weeks to just boom, 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 get the invitations out, and then the sales team did whatever they do. And we had 300K in new opportunities in 2 days. And for this company at the time, that was unheard of, and the prospects were they were really low. They were Fortune 500 companies. Process in action again. So this time, this is really the content team that I had when I first started at my last job. There was a technical writer, a product writer, myself, and then the editor, who was also kind of myself, but not till later. So, but anyway, so collaboration. We knew that 3 people couldn't produce the amount of content that the executive team wanted from us, right? They were like, we need all the docs, we need all the support stuff, we need all the blogs, and we were just like, are you crazy? So they needed all this stuff. So we figured out, all right, look, let's figure out who's good at what. let's stick to that, and then let's recruit people from within the company to just like help us with all the other stuff. So we ended up having like writing workshops. So we taught writing workshops to like some of the engineers and support staff so that we could create docs that way. And then we made this process, which was really incremental, where we sat down at these workshops and it was like, all right, you're gonna do this, the engineering team is gonna be responsible for this, and then you're gonna pass things off to the editor or the product writer, like depending on what it was. So really incremental: idea, draft, edit, revise, edit, post, and if you wanna revise it again, sorry, Charlie, it's posted. And then timely, and I say timely because 2 million words in a year. And that's just from three people who were effective in, outsourcing and workshopping when we needed to. And 2 million words in a year, y'all, that is like 10 novels. That is a lot of words. Y'all are out there like, do not say this in front of my manager. Okay. So takeaways. Add some ritual to your routine, right? Sauce it up. Make it interesting. Probably the best takeaway is don't silo the writing. Don't silo the creativity of any kind. Like, be collaborative. Be like the Grammy winners, right? Like, if the designer has an idea for a piece of content, sweet, it's probably gonna be awesome. Like, don't silo the writing. Workshop things. Be respectful of your routine though. Like, know when your energy peaks so that you can be your most productive. And what I do is I block off my calendar when I know that, like, hey, every day at like 11 a.m. is when I'm like in my zone. So don't book a meeting with me until 3 o'clock. So, be mindful of your own routine. And then know that you can't be timely or produce quality work without a winning process. A winning process like the Grammy winners, right? Okay. Thank you. This is my email because I am a very introverted person. So I may or may not shake hands after this. This is really this takes a toll. So that's my email if you want to hit me up and ask any questions you might have if you don't see me around. But I should be around tomorrow. And thank you. All right.